Hello, one and all. Welcome to the VCR Podcast, the only podcast that predates itself from the moment the title is spoken. I'm Adam, aka CSRadical, here with you guys, and to my right, because I'm going to skip this prick that we've tried recording a few times with already, I got Jin and Chris over here. How you doing, Chris?
Good. How you doing?
He's giving me the finger right now. He's so salty about this.
I love it.
For the record, you messed up more than I did.
I know, but you had the key mess up. But either way, because we are so professional on this podcast.
It's a very professional podcast.
So,
Madden.
oh, God damn it. He's not here today. We're not playing this gimmick. Anyways, we also have Vish from Vishal's Views here. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm better now that hopefully this isn't going to be another fuck up. Because
Never seen it.
This is our first attempt at this.
no,
Today.
I'm not
We
going to
had
hide
no
the fact.
outtakes.
No outtakes at all. I don't think I've actually mentioned this on my own solo podcast, but I wish I'd film myself every time that I record because the intro itself takes like 20 tries almost every time because I want that first minute to be so perfect because I'm such a fucking perfectionist like that.
Yeah.
Who cares about the rest, like the other 45 minutes? But
Yeah.
if that first minute's good, I'm happy.
You gotta judge a book by its cover.
Exactly,
That's
that's
the
how
intro.
it is. So
We have a logo now.
we do have a logo now. We have a nice, shiny, new, retro-looking logo, but that doesn't look like something that came from, like, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon or anything. But,
I was going for a Tron.
yeah, I mean, well, it's all the same kind of style, so it works out that way anyway.
I love it.
This podcast, though, is not going to have anything to do with the 80s, specifically. I mean, I guess the comic books that these things we're talking about are from could have been also in the 80s, but it's not quite the direction we're going in.
Wait, we're not here to rate VCRs? I thought we were just gonna be doing VCR reviews.
That would be one hell of a podcast.
Yeah. Like
That would be the most pointless podcast in this generation.
Are you kidding me? What
you
about
clearly-
the podcast VCR versus Beta? Or
Vish, you clearly have not seen some of the ridiculously useless podcasts out there, like this one. But anyways,
people like our opinions.
we are multifaceted nerds. We're not just one thing here. So I know everybody heard like a lot of gaming talk last week. This isn't going to be the norm every single time. It's whatever is within our fandoms that is really big. And this week, there wasn't anything in the comic and film genre that ever had any sort of relevance in the last 30 days.
Nothing that would alter a fictional universe at all. Not even a single thing.
No.
Nope.
No, nothing.
Nope.
Nothing. Not a really
Nothing that ruined anyone's day or week at all.
or like life based on some people, or like another company that had nothing to do with the other companies and
Yep.
but we'll get to that point.
Oh yeah.
But as we usually start off the show, we are going to talk about the things that we have been watching and playing since then. And I did give Vish the first try, the not first time that we did this, so I'm going to do it again. So Vish, I think that we were starting with an Amazon Prime original before I noticed that your microphone was completely off.
Can you hear me? I'm yelling right now. So, recently I just finished watching The Boys on Amazon, and it is so good.
I have heard so many good things about
It's
that.
me
not
too. I gotta watch
the
it.
typical superhero show showing like the glowing beacon of hope, and it's not really a superhero show or anything like that. It's more of like a evil corporation and politically driven show that what they're trying to do. I don't want to spoil a lot. The main villain, he's an absolute bastard, but I found he's actually has a little bit of a sympathetic story to him, and which made him this way. But he is a bastard. But you can't blame him for being the type of person he is. But you can absolutely blame him for the type of stuff he's done.
That is usually the cut of a good villain too. Is that there are two types of really good villains. They're either just the batshit crazy ones,
Joker.
like a Joker or a Kafka from Final Fantasy VI, where you just this guy is just nothing but pure chaos in a bottle, and you just want to see him get destroyed.
Then there's
But
guys
then-
like Thanos.
Then there's guys that are doing the most evil things possible, but are also you look at their backstories, you look at why they're doing the things that they're doing, and you're like, you know what? You're still wrong, but I understand why you got to the conclusions you went to.
Yeah.
The prime example is Magneto for that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So another thing I watched recently is the Aladdin live-action remake. It's just not good. Aladdin is my favorite Disney movie, and it just not good. It's so poorly paced. The music was bastardized so badly, and the character development was just so poor.
Did Will Smith do a lot of songs in that movie, or did he just do the
Will
Friend
Smith
Like
isn't
Me?
a singer. He is a rapper, and the way he was singing, he was talking, and literally it was like he had no octaves. He didn't change his like tone or anything.
Yeah.
It just did not suit him.
It sounded like they tried to make that like, and this is what I said. I don't know if I said this on this show or if I said it on any shows. I know I've said it to you guys.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the live action movies are for us.
No.
I feel like the live action movies are a new generation they're trying to bring in.
Yeah.
And I always just wondered, why don't you just re-release, like remaster and just like 4K the hell out of like the old cartoons and try to do that? Because
I don't think they should do that. I think if you're gonna make live actions, do it where you failed. Like, do it with Atlantis, because Atlantis was awesome.
well, that's the thing
visualization would be
too.
incredible.
There are a lot of Disney movies that would work better with it. It's why I never understood why Lion King got one or
Yeah.
Dumbo. Like,
Well,
there's
I think
some
you're
of these
right with,
movies
like,
that it's
Atlantis,
like
yeah.
there are certain movies that would work. Like you said, Atlantis.
The problem
I think
I had-
what's the other one? Treasure Planet.
Oh yeah.
Like
was
that
The
would
great.
problem
go.
I had with the Lion King remake, it's talking animals. We have seen talking animals before. We see talking animals at least once a year in a movie.
Yeah,
or
and
in a
Dr.
show.
Dolittle did it better like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Men in Black.
yeah, exactly. And that's my biggest problem with it, is that we've seen animals talk before, and they got these live action remakes are just bastardizing our childhood and the classics. Because if you ask anyone what their top 3 favorite animated movies is, guaranteed Lion King is in one of those.
Oh yeah. It's probably my favorite movie of all time, almost.
Yeah. So, Chris, what have you been up to?
So haven't been watching anything right now, but I'm replaying Final Fantasy V on the PC.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm a good 30
Now,
hours
is that
in.
like, do they remake that one at all? Because I'm not aware if they did anything other than.
What
No.
system was
Oh
it
wait,
on originally?
is it the shitty
Super
is it the
Nintendo.
shitty graphic changes they made?
Yes, it's the
I
one with
heard
the
about that.
sprites. Like the game itself
Like it looks
is
almost like a
unchanged.
mobile game.
Yeah, and I think it is the mobile version.
And
that
it's
they created.
gross.
Yeah, they left the game as is, except the main character sprites. They
Yeah.
just changed them, made them
And it looks
taller
so
with
bizarre.
like a weird bust.
It almost looks too
It's-
clean for the
Yeah.
style too.
Yeah, it also doesn't fit because you go into a battle and like all the enemies are still the old sprites, but then there's you and you just like don't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
I
how's
love
that-
the game itself, so I've been.
Is
I've
it
wanted
difficult
to play it.
do they have a controller built onto the screen?
Oh, I'm
No,
not
he's
playing on
playing on
mobile.
PC.
I'm playing on.
So it's
through
like the
Steam.
mobile, but it's
They
like,
took the mobile version and put it on PC.
okay.
Yeah.
Instead of just just putting the original.
Yeah, just
game.
putting the original game. They clearly have the code. But I've been playing that. I love that game because that's the one where there's different job classes.
Yeah, I think it was the first one they brought the job class system back since.
since 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm actually taking my time. I'm probably only 15 hours into the game, but I've played 30 hours where I'm just grinding out those jobs and levels. I'm like level 50 when I should be level 17.
I want to think that was the first game that ever did the whole "oh, actually, it's a girl" moment in a game. Because there's a pirate in the game that you're led to believe is a guy because it's a pirate, because that's usually the key of it. And then you find out, I think, a little bit later once you recruit her that it's
Yeah, you
actually a
recruit her.
girl and just a
Yeah.
badass.
It's such
the
a funny
absolute
way.
First game I can tell you right now.
Well, I'm
was
talking like the
Metroid.
first one that I remember.
Yeah.
Well, no, Metroid, you didn't
You
really
just
know
didn't
what
know.
it was.
Like in this one, you think it's a guy.
In this one, you're actually led to
and
believe
then
it's a
they
dude
switch.
because it
Yeah.
looks like what it
No,
would be.
even Metroid, like when I found out that Samus was a woman, I was like, no.
Well, yeah, but in the
Yeah.
sense of like you look at the
But I was
sprite
also-
and it looks like a guy,
Well,
whereas
yeah.
in the Metroid it's fully armored. Like you
Yeah.
don't actually know who it
This
is.
one,
period.
like you had this character, they referred to her as a him. She referred to herself as a him to hide her identity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Japan loves doing this too. Like in anime, like almost every season, there's at least one show that does it for
Yeah.
me, and I love that too because it's always usually in harems too because of
Yeah.
course they do, and it's always the most fun character too because they're just like the most cool one, and the guy's like, oh, this guy's such a cool guy, and all of a sudden he just catches her in the shower, and it's like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't,
Wait,
it's so
wait,
funny.
What?
You didn't catch Ferris in the shower in Final Fantasy V
No.
though, and this one's just like, oh yeah, it's a girl.
Yeah, she was asleep, and a couple of the guys went into the room to go wake her up so they continue the adventure, and it's like they looked at her and then found her beautiful, and it was like, I don't understand what's happening, and it took the girl, Lena or whatever her name is, to come in.
It's like, what
and
are you
then
doing
look
to her?
and be like, what's wrong with everybody? But she's unaffected. She's not thinking, oh, this sleeping person
Yeah.
is beautiful. You don't look different when you're asleep versus when you're walking around. So it's just such a stupid concept.
It's fucking a 90s game.
yeah, it's
so
a
like, go
nice game.
figure.
Like the hearts appear above their heads.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
oh, But yeah, I've been grinding out levels with that, and I've been really feeling my Switch lately, and been playing a lot of Smash Brothers, playing through the.
How many have you unlocked a lot of
I think
characters
I've finally unlocked everyone because I'm going through the World of Light. It's like that single player story mode that they have in the Wii version. They had a version. And as you play through, you just do a ton of battles, and then you have to fight the people, and you unlock them throughout
That's what
that story.
disappointed me about the Wii U version of Smash Brothers. I thought it was an awesome game, but the story mode was really cool in the Wii version.
Well,
Yeah.
they bare bones it because I think somebody spoiled it, and Nintendo was being a petulant child about it and was just
Yeah.
like, fine, no story mode.
Yeah, no story mode. Yeah.
Like,
But-
that's what happened is
yeah.
somebody leaked it, and they were just like, well, fine, you don't get one then.
Yeah.
We're like, just because we can predict it doesn't mean we're not going to like it.
Well, what happens is lately is that there was a study proving that people actually will enjoy spoilers because they will see how it happened. Because if
It
like,
depends
for
on what it is,
example, and for the record, whoever hasn't seen it, it's a 2-year-old movie. When Infinity Wars came out, and you could say everybody dies, and you're being half true. But then at the end, it's like you'd be like, "How did this happen?" And you're like, "Oh shit!" And then you're like, "It's still even if you found out what happened, it would still be a shock to you."
The way it happened.
Yeah,
Well, it's still a shock. You know how it probably would have happened with the stones and everything.
Yeah, I mean, also if you cut up with the comics too, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
But otherwise, in my case, I just finished Yakuza 3 because they released, they were releasing a 3-pack of 3 to 5, but they're slowly doing them.
Yeah.
So 3 got quietly just put on the store, which I was very happy about.
Yakuza 3 was on the PS3.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first 2 games they remade fully.
Yeah, the Kawaii
Because
series
they
or
were-
whatever it is.
What's that?
What is it? The Kawaii series? No, what's the
Yakuza?
Yakuza
Oh, Kiwami.
Kiwami?
I was sitting there being like, Kawaii. I'm like, what?
Yeah, sorry.
It's
yeah.
actually known
Sorry.
as the Buzzer Beater series.
That would be amazing if it was just called the Yakuza Cute series. That would, to be fair, that wouldn't be far off because Yakuza does have that wackiness to it. But they remade. Well, they came out with Zero, and Zero was I think the starting point of when people started paying attention to the series now. So they figured, well, we might as well remake them because Zero did so well. Zero is the first Yakuza game to ever go greatest hits.
Oh, okay.
So, and here in the West, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
So they remade 1 and 2 because they were PS2 games. So they completely overhauled them. But 3, 4, and 5 are PS3, so there's not too much of
to
a difference
do.
graphically.
Yeah.
So there was no point in spending a lot of time remaking them, so they're just polished it and they're just putting them out slowly. So I think the next one for 4 is coming out, I think, either the end of the year or early next year. And then 5 will come out like towards the summer, I think.
And you buy them as a pack?
Yeah. So
it's like
I
the
paid
gift that keeps on
$79.99
giving.
and it's a pack of 3, but they're
Is-
doling them out slowly.
Are the Yakuza games a little campy, or are they pretty like grounded and? Like,
There is no
mature?
series of games you will play that will have so much of a dramatic story and yet so much of the funniest random shit than you will ever find in a video game. I said this at our Con Bravo panel that I did with a bunch of my friends for gaming, and I said, look, Yakuza is this. You can have a scene where you have this badass fight where 2 guys rip their shirts off, show off their amazing Yakuza tattoos, have a gigantic fist fight with a guy on a motorcycle in a badass fucking final battle, and then 2 minutes later you'll go bowling, you'll
Mini golf.
roll a turkey, which is 3 strikes in a row, and this person will put a live chicken in front of you as your prize, and you'll be like, that's not a turkey. Like, oh, right, fine. I'll cut it up and make it into a meal for you. And he goes, no, I'm going to keep him, and I will call him Nugget, and I will make him a business associate who actually is one of the better business associates in the game. Or you can go from a point where a main character dies in the very dramatic, like, final death scene, and then you just go karaokeing to kind of drown out your sorrows. That is Yakuza. Yakuza is Grand Theft Auto on a massive amount of psychedelic drugs.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of like what Saints Row is, but in Japan. It's Japan's version of a
Japan's
Saints Row
Saints
game.
Row, yeah.
Although Japan, when it comes to their version of this, Yakuza actually has some of the most serious, like really good dramatic stuff, and then puts in the wackiness that like a Saints Row game does. Whereas Saints Row is just pure
Just
wackiness
wacky
all
the
the
whole
way through.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed 3 a lot. I did go through it a lot faster than the other 2 games, and I think a lot of it is because, like I said, they didn't remake 3, they remastered it. So a lot of the controls in 3 for a lot of the mini games are a little older and antiquated.
Yeah.
So some of them didn't work the way that they did. Also, the hostess bar that it was done in 0, 1, and 2 with the remakes is a lot more fun and takes a lot of time. So there was a lot of stuff in those games that could keep a little more hours into it.
Yeah.
This game, like the other games, I put like 50 plus in. This one I finished in 27, just because I didn't get a sense of wanting to play everything. I just was like, you know what? I'll just go through the story. It's still a blast to go through. I just didn't spend so much time doing every mini game that I normally do.
Was there anything really worth going through on the side missions or anything like that?
There, like all the side missions are still good.
They're
it's
fun.
just the mini game, like there's like batting cages and darts and pool and all these little things. Whereas in the remakes, they kind of made them a little more easy for people to get to. Whereas the PS3 ones, I guess the controls are still wonky a little bit, because they try, like for darts in the remakes, it was more of a you aim and then you hit the button as the thing's shaking, so you're hitting your target. Whereas in the PS3 in the game that I played now, you literally just flick it back and flick it up, and it's not as accurate as you want it to be.
Yeah, they do a lot. They do a lot of things like that in
the older games. Yeah, they were
games.
Yeah, that too.
Oh yeah.
But I enjoyed that altogether, and now I'm just starting Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh yeah.
I'm about 5, 6, 7 hours in.
Oh, okay. Got about 130 to go.
I totally didn't. The first thing I didn't do was totally climb up on Zeus's dick and just kind of take a picture while hanging from the balls. I didn't do that at all.
That's why screenshot mode was invented.
I'm an adult.
Is that like a thing to do in the game?
Oh, literally, like there's right at the first area, there's a statue of Zeus, and it's cock and balls level like statue.
Yeah.
So
Huge,
naturally,
like
you can climb on anything. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll climb on his dick and I'll take a picture of me hanging off the balls.
Yeah.
Because that's what an adult does.
The screenshot mode is amazing.
So you got teabagged by Zeus?
No, I pulled on his, like I basically gave him like a quick handy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you playing as Cassandra?
Yes.
Or yeah, I played.
I took
Cassandra
one
as
look
well.
at. I can't even remember what the other guy's name is.
Alexios.
I think you're right. And I took one look at him and like, you're boring.
Yeah.
And I also have learned my lesson from Mass Effect that like, you always go with the woman.
Yeah.
Because the woman tends to like actually have a voice actress that cares a little bit more, generally speaking.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
so I went with that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise, what I'm playing so far, it's fine. Like I'm not drawn in yet. I just got to the island where you find out who your first bounty target is.
Yep.
So I haven't done too much yet. It's an open world game though. It's a time killer for me. So I'll just go and do everything that I can and just like constantly like just be an asshole and assassinate everybody.
Yeah.
And just not do any actual fighting.
Yeah.
Like my entire goal is to go into any bandit camp and just never get seen. And then when I finally get to the boss, I just Spartan kick him off the highest cliff I can find.
Oh, the Spartan kick is so much fun when you find guys standing like right on the edge of that mountain.
I feel like I should never finish a boss battle without Spartan kicking him off of something.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing it wrong if I stab the guy to death. I feel like it's better if I just kick him off a cliff.
Yeah.
If you're playing a game where there's Spartans and you don't finish him with a Spartan kick, dude, that's just disappointing.
It is true. It is very true. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. So, what do we want to start with? Do we want to start... Actually, no, we'll start with Joker because we'll start on a happy point.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Joaquin Phoenix, and I thought if they're gonna remake Joker, they should use someone a little younger, not for like anything, but just the fact that they can carry on into other movies. But I know this is gonna be a one-off, and I'm hearing nothing but like extremely strong reviews, praise about it, that he's looking at an Oscar for this, and I am so excited now.
I mean, I think what they wanted to do, and we mentioned this when we were at the bar after we did our first show, where I said, you know what, I think what this movie is going to be is actually more a proof of concept that they can do this properly, not to mention I think they're leading into creating other characters along the line. I think also because this is an origin story, as I give the quotation fingers here,
Yeah.
we know that Joker has never truly told what his origin is, if he even has one that's really anything other than he just fucking goes crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, I feel like the ending is going to be, he just lied about everything he just told.
I like
somebody.
the idea that
I
I gave
imagine
you
him
guys, where I said, you
It's
know what,
Harley.
I think he's going to be in Arkham telling the story to Harley as he's brainwashing her.
Yeah.
And that, because we've heard they want to do another Suicide Squad with a new set of people and try it again.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to introduce Harley, there's a great way to do it. And not to mention that you could not even have Joaquin, like, I don't know what's going to happen in that movie because I haven't read the spoilers, but you could even have it that he's not even the real Joker.
Yeah.
Like, you could even make the case that he's just a plant in prison, and this guy is just meant to like open Harley up for this brainwashing, and the real Joker swoops in.
The Suicide Squad does have Margot Robbie, the next sequel.
Oh, are they actually keeping her?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no.
I'm not complaining then.
No. That it's a sequel, but it's also a reboot. I would say.
See, when I heard reboot, I just thought they meant that they were just gonna like completely overhaul.
Yeah, I heard it was a reboot too. Like, I assumed they were just starting again.
Yeah.
No, it's a soft reboot and sequel to the original. Idris Elba's in it. It's not confirmed who he is. There's a chance he could be Deathstroke, or this other character like Tiger something. Tiger Claw, I think maybe is his name, and it's gonna be Margot Robbie is there. Like, plain and simple, don't make Suicide Squad without Margot Robbie and Harley Quinn.
No, I didn't have
not
an
be
issue with the first Suicide Squad. Like, I thought it was actually a lot more fun than I think a lot of people thought it was because I didn't take it seriously.
Yeah, I
because
didn't take it
I went into
seriously.
that movie thinking I just wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
It was frustrating in other ways, but I felt like
Oh, the story and the villain were horrendous.
yeah, no, they definitely. Well,
Yeah.
it's also the thing that I
But
also
so is
said
Venom,
too.
though.
It's Suicide Squad. Like, they aren't the key players, so you can't just throw a really big villain at them. So I think they had to throw something like an Enchantress. Just
I was
because
fine with Enchantress. I just didn't like her CGI brother. That
There-
made
there
no
was that
sense.
too.
Yeah, whoever he
Yeah,
was.
it
I don't
was-
remember his name.
The way you have to use CGI nowadays is use CGI to assist in the film, not overtake the film. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I would say, I'm trying to think, like Batman Begins, for example. They used CGI and they used quite a bit of it, but you really couldn't tell originally because the most of the CGI was Gotham, and the CGI also was the Scarecrow's poison clouds. That was majority of the CGI, but that's still a lot of CGI. But it was assisting the movie. It wasn't overpowering it.
I feel like it's laziness almost, or even like them trying to like overthrow, like trying to figure out how to fill the budget.
Actually,
Yeah.
I got a better example of that. Let's look at the Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3. Extreme CGI.
Oh, yeah.
Very poorly dated now, but that's because it's 20 years old.
Yeah.
But extreme CGI usage, and people hated it.
Yeah.
But then look at movies like Force Awakens and also Rogue One.
Not even that. The original trilogy, which was all practical
Yes,
effects,
most of it
holds
was
up
practical.
now because there's
Yeah.
very little CGI that they're dealing
so
with. Yeah.
use the CGI to assist the movie, not overbear it. That was one huge problem that Suicide Squad had. Granted, it was
Yeah.
also the script and the villains.
But I mean, obviously going back to Joker, I think what's helping too is that they're not trying to do anything new with this. They're actually trying to go back to old school. They're trying to go back to like I guess the original like creepy like the Joker that we
Oh,
kind of
I-
yeah,
that a lot of us grew up with.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna like be disturbed out of my mind after this movie.
Yeah, it looks like they were trying to go for more of a Killing Joke level Joker
Yeah,
in
I
this one.
heard the later part of the movie from the like spoiler-free review I read was that it gets quite violent,
and that's
graphic and violent.
And well, I mean that's what we kind of expected too,
Yeah.
because they know that they have to up the ante. They can't laze around anymore because they failed too many times. So they have to just not pull any punches now.
One thing I found, DC is really good at doing solo films, but when it comes to collaboration and team up films, that's where I found they failed miserably.
Well, the other problem to that too was that because they rushed it too fast.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
weren't really planning anything. They just tried to jump at the money.
I was
Yeah, they
totally
weren't
fine
building up
with
to
them
anything.
killing Superman. Like, I'm like, yes, do it, but not in the second movie. Like, we have to get attached. Like, when we
Yeah.
saw Yondu die in Guardians 2, we were soul crushed because we got used to the character.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
you'd seen him a few times.
Yeah.
And I mean, even to go all the way to the end of Endgame without spoiling anything, there are characters that are gone.
Yep.
And these are characters that didn't just happen the movie before.
No.
I
It's
mean,
been, like,
Age of
years.
Ultron, we had one, and that's I think that's another part of Age of Ultron that kind of just downs it is because there's a character that dies in that
this-
movie that's
yeah,
introduced in that movie,
introduced in the
and
same
it's like
movie.
why? Like it seemed pointless. But in the case of an Endgame, when someone died in that movie, it meant something because that was a long journey.
Yeah.
Whereas with Batman vs Superman, it was like we just saw Henry Cavill in his first movie like a couple of years
3
ago.
years
Yeah.
ago.
So it was like
maybe not even 3 years ago.
so it's like, what the fuck was the point of that?
Yeah.
It didn't have any meaning. Also, not to mention that the movie was just poorly written to begin with, so it didn't even really matter.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Batman
That-
needs to fight Superman.
It's
Has to happen.
And also, that was the problem with Ben Affleck being Batman, because I know a lot of people liked him, but I'm not a big fan of his.
I will still say that he was a fantastic Bruce Wayne and just did not work in the suit.
No, it's not that. I thought as Batman he was fine, and I think he would have been okay for a later Batman, but this was the start of the Justice League. You don't bring a retired Batman to start the Justice League. That made no sense at all.
Yeah, and then, like I said, it comes back to
that's a
them
really good point.
rushing things out. So they figure, let's just get a big star that'll get attention and we'll be fine. And it's like, no, that's not.
No,
that's not how it
I
works.
think characters like iconic characters like Batman, Superman, and now Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, you should not have an established actor. I think you
It
should
depends.
have somebody who has somewhat of a career, or
If you're talking like a
newcomer.
major star, then yes. But if you're talking like somebody who is like well known but isn't like he isn't main eventing the biggest blockbusters,
Robert
like
Downey Jr.,
you're not
for
you're not
example.
you're not going to put The Rock as Captain America. As awesome as that sounds,
Oh.
it just, you just
Can
wouldn't.
you smell what Steve Rogers is cooking?
Okay, on second thought, I don't like this idea anymore.
It's America's elbow.
But in the case of Joker, it's
It would be
it's
America's
similar
ass
like that.
and
Like
America's
a
elbow.
lot of people are aware of who Joaquin Phoenix is, but he's not like the big name. Like he is a big name in terms of like Oscars and stuff, but in terms of like a casual audience, he's not necessarily.
He's not a blockbuster actor.
No.
No.
He like to people who are big film buffs, they probably are like, "Holy shit, that's a big name." But to like people like you and me, I'm like, "Oh, I know who that is."
Yeah,
That's about it.
It's not. He's not a mainstream actor. He's more of he's an actor. He's an artistic actor, and like I saw this one movie of his, and it was the most confusing and boring piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. I'll remember what it's called in a second, but he was like the main guy in that movie, and this I've never fell asleep in a theater until that night.
Wow.
It was that painfully confusing and boring, because it's like it was just the confusion part. Just you couldn't get with the movie. You couldn't, and it was people were saying that like in any review you read of it, and even on IMDb, on their trivia section said, while this movie was loved by critics and like other actors, the general audience did not enjoy it because it was confusing as hell.
Yeah, it's not for a casual audience.
So I mean, as we go in, like Joker's almost out in theaters, so we're going to be obviously seeing that relatively soon.
Yeah, when is it out?
Okay, Google.
I'm going to quickly check.
When does Joker come out?
I have a computer right here.
Joker will be released in Canada on October 4th.
Oh, so we
October
got
4th.
about a month. So
Nice.
we're obviously going to see that, and if the podcast falls in line with when we finish seeing it, well, obviously we'll talk about it there.
Oh yeah.
I've always been looking forward to it because when the first trailer came out for it, I was already enamored with it just because I'm thinking, okay, they're not doing fun, they're doing dead serious Joker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm in for that
Yes.
because I've seen that they can do comedy again with Shazam. Now I want to see if they can do serious.
Yeah.
And from all accounts, it sounds like they can.
Well,
Yeah.
serious was never a problem with the DC movies. Like,
I would disagree.
Dark
but
The
that's,
Knight.
older ones.
yes.
Yeah, like 10 years
Well,
ago.
But,
But
in,
Dark
but in
Knight
this in
was-
this recent, like, I guess the Justice League universe they've tried to
Yeah.
establish, it's been terrible.
honestly, I'm not just saying as a biased fan. I loved Man of Steel.
I did
thought-
like Man of Steel.
I thought it was the reason I liked it a lot because I felt it was the first time that Superman was done properly on screen. He actually had a real villain. It wasn't like fighting Lex Luthor, and because in Superman Returns, he never throws a single punch in that movie, and this
Yeah,
time
there was
it
no point to that movie.
Exactly, and with also, it showed like Superman can have a threat, can actually be in a battle, and it also made sense of Lois Lane figuring out he's Superman.
I was more in the camp of I don't like the fact that he killed somebody in his first established movie.
Yeah.
Where my thing is like you're supposed to show that he is the one that can get by without doing it. Because like if you're a new Superman fan and you're told that this guy is the goodiest of goody two shoes guys and he kills somebody in pretty heavy fashion in the first movie, it's like it's the same deal of like Superman killing some or getting killed in the second movie he's
You
in.
need to watch The Boys and see Homelander.
Yeah, no, I'll get to that. But otherwise, I mean, with Joker, it's going to be a very interesting movie, just in the aspect of it being something that's probably going to be unlike something we're normally used to seeing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Because
like,
it sounds like we're getting something that's a very cerebral movie, which is something that's more akin to like a thriller movie rather than a superhero
Yeah.
movie.
I feel like he's gonna give. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that's actually what I'm excited for the most is because the Joker, for it being a superhero movie or a supervillain or whatever you want to call it, it's not very much like there's no powers, there's no anything like that. It's actually just a guy who
Who's
turns
insane.
to a life
And it
of
sounds
crime.
like we're actually going to leave a movie actually frightened of a villain,
Yeah,
potentially.
yeah. It's more grounded. It's not like gods coming down and people with powers doing this. It's a guy turns to a life of crime after going crazy.
And I think it's going to be the
That's
interesting thing too is because I know in theaters when we go, I have a bad feeling that I'm going to be very antsy by the time we get to like the second half of the movie, and I'm thinking
yeah.
I'm going to see something I'm not going to like. Am I?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
I think it's maybe I'm a little insane for that. Again, said I'm a psychopath for like DC and Marvel. I like seeing shit that disturbs me, not horror movie shit, but like actual like violent shit. Like I don't know, I enjoy seeing it. Like that's one reason I love Resident Evil, blowing zombies' heads off.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
fun
not.
gore.
Yeah. It's fun for zombies.
But I feel like we're gonna see a performance and villain like akin, if not more disturbing than Hannibal Lecter.
yeah, it could
Because
be.
Is Joker going to eat somebody?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing. Like,
well, there's some comics where there's this comic actually called Joker, and it stars Joker, and
Shocking.
he was at a strip bar and this guy pissed him off. Joker peeled his skin off and threw him on stage.
oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It's like I feel like there's gonna be no limits this time because it's gonna be like Game of Thrones. It's like if you can think of it, it's gonna happen.
So the real
Yeah.
question is, are we going to see De Niro's skin on stage?
Yeah, because like he's a big name actor, and if he's gonna be in this movie and it's not like a big part, like something
Well,
has to happen to that
What's
guy.
gonna happen? They're saying there is nothing from the source material, so this is a completely fresh take and everything.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
remember, there's no origin story for Joker, so it's all fabricated anyway. So
Yeah.
we could see anything.
Yeah, well, like what's Joker's real name? Because in the original
We don't know.
Batman, it
Well,
was Jack Napier.
what
I think.
happened?
I don't think we
And
actually
now-
know because there's that one
It's-
comic where like Batman puts on that like he sits on that throne and he asks like the question he gets any answer to, and he asks what's Joker's identity, and they tell him and he goes, "What? That's 3 names,"
Yeah.
so
and he doesn't say what any of them are.
here's a really interesting fact. So no one really knows. Like Joker has no origin. It was the whole Heath Ledger thing where he's like, I got these scars. You never got a clear answer of how he got these scars.
He could have given them to himself for all you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He could have gone insane, just sliced himself. And so what's happening is no one knows Joker's real story. No one knows what made him this way. Like there's theories about the Batman, the original Batman with Michael Keaton, where he fell into chemicals.
Yep.
There's theories about how he started off as the Red Hood,
Yep.
and he was then thrown into chemicals. And there's theories about how he became, but there's never been a definitive like origin. Which that was the only thing that was bothering me about Joker having a quote unquote origin story, because he's not supposed to have an origin.
But that's why we've kind of come to the conclusion that we don't think it's a real story.
Yeah.
So what's happening
Yeah.
is that you're giving an origin, but I don't want to sympathize with Joker. I don't be like, oh man, I don't blame him for being this one. I want to be. He's the full of chaotic evil.
I get the feeling by the end of it we ain't going to be sympathizing with shit.
I know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the actual creation of Joker, like when they made him in the comics and everything, nobody even knows that. That's lost in history. So not only do we not know Joker's character origin, we don't know Joker's conception origin either.
I think that's horse shit. I think when people say things like that, it's just their way of saying we're never going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's a pretty easy way of just quenching or
It's-
squelching
there's,
things.
There's quite a few things that are like they're lost in history.
I still doubt it. I personally still doubt it, but I mean, it's things that I don't really care if I need to hear or not because it just adds to the mystery, right?
Possibly.
But anyways, because we're already starting to run a lot of time in here a lot faster than I thought I did, which is not actually that surprising when I think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's another story that we really need to talk about.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to go, Mr. Stark. I don't want to go.
He's dead.
I don't want to go, Mr. Stark. Tony, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he's going regardless.
So, Spider-Man potentially
peace,
gone
kid.
from the MCU.
Yeah. This is sad.
Okay, my thing is, there's a chance he's probably gone, but there was also a chance James Gunn was going to be gone from.
Yeah, that's the
as
thing
well.
too. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
time
So,
still left to get this
There's
recovered.
lots
There's
of time, and
tons
the
of
next
time.
phase, Spider-Man's not involved. It's Shang-Chi, it's Doctor Strange, it's Black Widow.
Yeah, he's
and
not even
there-
mentioned
he's not
in
even in
Phase
there.
4.
And even in the next phase, I don't think he's involved a lot either. So
I
there's
think
plenty
he'd have
of
to be
time.
involved by Phase 5 because I
Yeah.
don't think you can go
They'd have
that
to
stretch
finish-
of time without him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they'd have
I-
to do his
Especially after that
trilogy.
end credits.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to do something eventually.
Because I don't. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's over.
I think we've got a good 4-year window.
Yeah, 4 years
to get him back.
to get him back.
Yeah.
to fix the
So-
situation.
so-
Well,
to ki-
is
so-
there
Maybe
is he-
3 with actually making the movie.
Is he contracted for one more movie with the MCU?
So
or no?
here, I'll give you the cliff notes. So for those who somehow don't know what we're talking about here. So we found out a few weeks ago that a contractual fight between Sony and Disney, and this is Sony Pictures, not Sony the whole brand. This is just their film division.
Yeah.
And this is a key part of this conversation that a lot of people are not understanding. This is just the film division of Sony. This has nothing to do with, say, PlayStation Sony.
Yeah.
This is just the films. So them and Disney have been talking about their contract with Spider-Man because a long time ago we know that Spider-Man, the rights to his films were bought by Sony off of Marvel when Marvel was going bankrupt. We now fast forward to this current contract they have with Disney. The contract was supposed to be 5 films, that being 3 solos. I think it was either 5 or 6, but it was 3 solos and either 2 or 3 movies that Spider-Man would be a part of that were also in the MCU.
Yeah. Which he's
Now-
completed those.
We have not completed the solo yet. There's still one
exactly.
solo to go. In that contract as well, which didn't get reported at first, if one of the 2 solo films did make over $1 billion, which Far From Home did,
Yeah.
Disney had no way out of this contract. Disney had an out clause if the first 2 movies not even fail, but didn't get to the expectations they wanted to, which I feel was put in there as their way of being like, hey, we can get the license back easy.
Yeah.
Because how hard is it to make $1 billion as a film? Pretty goddamn hard.
And it's, I wouldn't say it's hard anymore for the MCU.
No, but it's hard in general. So it's very possible that a movie could just not, like, they could have made $900 million and Disney be like, peace.
Yeah.
So the contract as it stands is still supposed to have one more movie. And I think because Kevin Feige, they've moved him out of the films because I think they want him to concentrate on other stuff that isn't just Spider-Man. They wanted him to stick with the Disney stuff. That also created an impasse as well. So when they came back to the table to talk the next contract, because I guess they wanted to get ahead of it, Disney currently had a 5% share in the profits. They put no money into the films.
Yeah.
They just had a 5% share. They also have free and full reign of the merchandise money. So if they make Spider-Man Far From Home merch, Sony gets 0 cut of it, even though Sony is the one that produces that
So
movie.
they did the George Lucas treatment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Disney came up to the table and said, "Hey, we're gonna help you guys. We're gonna take 50% of the costs off of you, but we're gonna take 50% of the profit." Which mathematically actually means they're going to make a lot more money than they're putting in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Percentage-wise, they'd be making far more. So you think about a movie that might cost you $100 million, they take $50 million and put it in, but they also make
$500 million.
they make $500 million plus the merch money,
Merch plus the merch, yeah.
which is probably another $200 million because they're getting whatever cut they want off of that. So Sony was like, no, we kind of like this contract that we're under. We think it's a fair contract. They apparently did counteroffer, which also wasn't reported the first time.
Yep. I don't know what that counteroffer was, though.
No, we don't know that.
Oh, okay.
The counteroffer is not known. And then Disney said no, and then Sony said, fine, we're walking then.
Yeah.
The original story as it was posted was simply that Sony walked away, which is not true.
Yeah, there's so much more to it.
Which is why I'm led to believe, and this is where my tinfoil hat comes on,
Get him out.
Disney owns media companies, several of them.
Yep.
I'm willing to think that Disney leaked this intentionally
Oh, I believe that.
because
are
they
the ones
wanted
that-
to put
Yeah.
Sony on ice because they knew. They know how us as nerds will normally react because I saw Twitter, I saw Reddit, I saw Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see Instagram because I don't care about Instagram.
That was an angry day on the internet.
It was a
for
not happy
everybody.
day.
Yeah.
I was one of very few people defending Sony
Yeah.
because I read the actual article, saw what I saw as little as it was reported because they try to keep things as vague as possible to make it seem like Sony was in the negative light.
Yep.
And when I finished reading it, I said, so Disney tried to ask for too much. That's what I read.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I know what Disney is because we know that they've basically tried to buy out everything.
Yeah.
So I was well aware that Disney is probably more at fault than Sony is. I
Oh,
think we're still
Disney
talking about two
is
greedy
playing-
corporations that were being very over the top about things.
Oh, yeah.
But I think in the end, Disney is the one with more blood on their hands by the end of this.
Dude, Disney
Yeah.
is like the Oscorp of the entertainment world in our universe.
Oscorp, yeah.
Because, I mean, look, as fans, we're not stupid. Spider-Man is the most popular Marvel character.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Spider-Man is now becoming the key piece in the MCU. I said it before. I've said it to you guys. I don't know if I've said it here or on any of my shows, but I've said, honestly, I think Spider-Man is in line to become Iron Man for Miles Morales to come in and take the Spider-Man helm. Because they're treating Peter as Tony now. Peter's having all the same mannerisms that Tony used to have, other than the billionaire playboy philanthropist attitude.
They definitely pushed that in Far From Home.
Which makes me believe that since Iron Man is gone, it leaves an opening.
Well, he's gonna be the new, like, I feel if they can fix this, and I really hope they do.
I think
He'll
honestly,
be
I
the
think
face
they
of
will.
the.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be the face of the MCU.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that they'll come back to the table, because I think they both understand the amount of money that you're still going to make.
Yeah.
And I think Disney's not stupid. Disney tried to get a little bit too greedy. They're going to come back and realize, okay, fine, I guess we can't just take like the majority share of the
Apparently,
profit.
Sony has requested $10 billion for Spider-Man, which they'll definitely make it back.
Well, and the
Yeah.
thing is too, if Disney comes out with a shitty offer like they did, Sony should be well within the right to be like, all right, fine, give us a shit ton of money for this license, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's like we bought. Oh, by the way, fun fact: they bought the Spider-Man license, I think, for like $7 million. They could have bought all of Marvel's film licenses for $21 million.
Yeah.
We would have had no MCU.
It's crazy when you think
or
about
at least
that.
a very different one.
No, I don't think, because, like, who would have thought that a shared film universe like this would have ever worked or would have ever existed?
Well, it's existed before. Like, I mean, the Star Trek series and stuff, like all of those the movies and the TV shows were all one big
Well, no,
universe.
that's different though, because they intertwined. Like, that was streamlining. This is like Thor with Cap, with Iron Man, with the Guardians, like all that.
I think it could have
one
been
huge
done.
Conglomerate.
It's just a matter of would it have been the same people? Would it have been the same quality? We don't know. I think
It
it
would
still
have
would
been
have
the
been
same quality.
It would have.
No.
It could. For all we know, it could have been better. It could have been worse. We don't know. It's all hypothetical. I'm not willing to give an answer on what I think would have been if Sony had done it. I know
Okay,
everybody wants to
I'll,
just say no, and I think people need to stop being so fucking like.
Okay, here's
assuming
the
of
thing.
a
The only
thing?
reason I'm gonna say that it wouldn't be better, Venom. While I enjoyed
People
it,
love Venom though. This is the thing. A lot of
did
people
love
actually
Venom.
really like Venom.
but this in general, the script and story are terrible. But the movie was just
In your opinion,
no, the script and story are terrible.
I disagree. To be honest,
You watched it?
yes,
You thought the script and story were good?
I think they did a
For
very
Venom?
good job for a movie that
Yes.
wasn't going to have Spider-Man in it. I think they did what they needed to do.
I think
They kind of pigeonholed themselves because they had a movie that they couldn't put anybody in,
Yeah, and
They-
I think
they
that's
did
why
their
the
best to
villains
work with
sucked, because they had who could.
and it
they
was certainly
legally put in
better
there.
than fucking Eric Foreman from that '70s show playing Venom.
Oh,
We do not speak of that.
Oh, we will, because you have to learn from your mistakes.
Spider-Man 3
Voldemort.
doesn't exist.
Nope, you have to accept
Oh.
it. We are doomed
want it.
to repeat the same mistakes if we don't acknowledge them.
Okay, we have Tom Hardy now as Venom, okay?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
That's better. I can deal with that.
But the thing is, like, I'm not willing to assume anything of what ifs. I don't like to just say, oh, it would have been shit or it would have been good, because we don't know who would have been actually working on it, because who knows what they would have hired. Because just because these are the people that were in charge of Venom doesn't mean they would have been in charge of the MCU.
Yeah.
Or just because like the people that were in charge of Spider-Man, the first trilogy or the second trilogy that was kind of bad.
Yeah, if it could,
We
it
don't
could have
know
been
if
the
that
second
would have been the
trilogy or
people in
first
charge of it.
Will this be one of the what if episodes in the new Marvel series?
No, it will not, because
What if Sony did the MCU?
They might do
Yeah.
a what if we just decided to go to Sony and burn the fucking place down. That
Yeah.
might be a Disney thing, but
They'd have everything backed up into the cloud.
But I mean, honestly, like, I will never say here or there whether it would have been good or not if Sony had run the MCU.
Yeah.
What I will say right now is that this current edition of the MCU is fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
The Spider-Man films that Sony has been doing currently are fucking fantastic and the best ones they've ever done.
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
If Kevin Feige's not in there, do I think it would be shit? No. Do I think it would be as good? Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to say yes or no to that.
Yeah.
But what I will say with an absolute assurity is that if they don't come back to the table and fix this, the MCU is fucked. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, Spider-Man is the leader now.
Yeah.
Cap is gone.
Thor's got one more.
Thor
and
has
then he's
probably got one more. Iron Man
they're not doing a
is
good
doing
job.
his own.
They're not doing a good job with Captain Marvel right now.
done. No,
Well, Captain
because
Marvel
she
shouldn't
was
be a leader to
supposed to
begin
be the
with.
new
But,
head of the front
If
of
they
the
if they
MCU.
try to make her the leader, then I'd be like, why? Like,
Yeah.
you're making the most overpowered person the leader. Like, what point does she have of leading? She can go
Yeah.
in solo.
Yeah, that would be like pulling a
Well,
Superman.
I get what you're saying, but I realized also, like, in that scene in Endgame, where all the women come by, and people were saying, why does she need all that help? Disney should be fighting one guy one-on-one and fighting an entire army with people with guns blazing left, right, and center. So she was going to need assistance with that part.
Why didn't she fly up?
Well, the other thing
because
too
they
is
had those, like,
she took
weird-
down a whole ship herself.
Yeah,
That
She
is
can
true.
she can breeze through a few people.
she'd be fine.
She was fighting stormtroopers. She could have evaded their thing by walking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fly up.
Yeah, I get that.
Just
It
fly
was,
up,
it
Scarlet.
was, and I mean, we've had this conversation
Captain.
before. It's also the fact that it was every single female character in the roster rather than just a select few.
Yeah,
Like, if it had just been like the key ones, I would have been like, fine.
yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
part...
Because
One or
that's
two
girl,
girls
that's
show up.
girl power,
Yeah,
but because
girl
it was
power.
literally everybody, even
Yeah.
fucking Pepper Potts in that
Yeah.
in whatever.
Well, she
can't
had an
remember
Iron
what
Man
it-
costume, but
I know, but she doesn't fight normally.
They all just
I
stopped
thought
fighting
it
who
was,
they were fighting to come
they
and
should have
stand
used
together.
Mantis more, because it was like Mantis ran in that scene and that was it.
Yeah, why
I
didn't
think
Mantis
they-
go to help? What was she gonna do?
I think they were just trying to push a little too hard.
There was one scene, like, you know that part, someone pointed out in the background, like, you wouldn't have noticed unless someone actually pointed out. So the part where Cap is holding Stormbreaker and Thor is holding Mjolnir, and they switched.
Yeah.
In the background of that scene, there's like this giant gorilla type monster, and Thanos' arm, you saw him. So Mantis actually touched his head and put him to sleep, and he collapsed.
Yeah.
That happens in the background of that scene, but you can't even notice it.
But it's the nature of the movie. You got 50 people on screen. Like,
So
you
at
can't.
that was
yeah.
I thought the war in that should have been longer, because it could have showcased a lot more characters as well. Because
Again, though, it's like
Would have made the
you-
movie 4 hours.
You'd have to
I
make
think that
a
was the
third
issue.
movie.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to stop it at the point that they snap everybody back, and then the entire third film would just be a battle.
Avengers
Which
Infinity
I would-
War Part 3.
I
Holy
wouldn't have
fuck,
been
it's still
opposed to.
going.
A 2-hour movie that's just a final battle sounds fucking amazing.
well, I'm there. I'm there with
Lord
a
of the
rock
Rings,
hard on because
Lord of the
of it.
Rings number 2, and the third Hobbit movie were basically 2-hour wars.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that
but
that
again,
is okay.
but again, we're getting way off track here.
We're not talking Lord of the Rings?
The point is, Phase 4, as it stands, we know probably isn't going to include Spider-Man anyway, unless they were planning on putting him in end credit scenes.
Yeah.
There was no, like, with the movies that we see in front of us, there shouldn't be an appearance unless they were somehow going to fit him in the Doctor Strange, like, multiverse thing that they were planning.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they have a good gap where they can come back to the table. And I think that any rational, by the way, this is the key word, rational fan of the MCU right now shouldn't want Disney to buy Sony. They shouldn't want Disney to just cheat the system, because, again, the more monopoly we get, it means less chance that they're going to take it seriously because no one can stop them.
Yeah.
They need this to be exactly as it was. It needs to be status quo again. And I think both companies need to turn around and kind of go, okay, maybe we should think less about the profits in our pocket and think about the profits for everybody, because no matter what cut we get, especially if you're Disney, no matter what cut Disney gets, they're making a shit ton of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. There was 6
They're
films
making
that made $1
money
billion
beside
this year.
themselves, and without even trying, they can just put
Yeah.
something out there.
Yeah, they made 5 movies that made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying that I think the initial purchase of the Star Wars franchise was like $4 billion, I think, from George Lucas.
Yeah.
And they've already
and they've
almost
made it back
Like,
already.
3 times.
Yeah, with the
So-
first movie.
But the only thing is, I don't want them to buy Sony. I think that's pointless. But what I would like them to do is find a way to get Spider-Man back permanently.
Just keep it all under one roof again.
Yeah, like have all the characters with the one company, because it makes sense. Doing
As
it
long
that
as
way.
the games stay with Sony, I'm good with that.
And,
Yeah,
and
because
that's the
Sony
other thing too
fucking
about that whole
kills
thing.
at making that.
I almost lost my shit on people because they were saying, "Well, we have to boycott the video game now." I'm like, that has fucking
makes no
nothing
sense.
to do with it.
No.
Yeah, I'm not buying the comic books now. What does
It's,
that have to do with?
it would be like saying, if because WWE put out a bad show, oh, I can't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling because wrestling all in general is bad.
Yeah.
It's like, guys,
Yeah.
the video games and the movies have nothing to do
No,
with each other.
It would be like saying if the WWE did something wrong, be like, I'm never not watching another movie with The Rock again. It's like that has absolutely no.
Well, hell,
affiliation
even
with
like if I watch an episode of Raw or SmackDown and it's shit, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch NXT or 205 Live. There are other smaller shows that are actually fucking fun. Like, it's the same thing. It's like they don't cross.
I'm returning my N64 copy of WWF Raw. I'm done.
So I guess I
Is
have
that
to.
thing worth any money though?
I'm kidding. I
Probably
don't even
not.
own it.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
wish. I used to love those
I guess I
weapons.
can never support any Spider-Man video game. I can't ever play Maximum Carnage or Separation Anxiety anymore.
Yeah.
Like
No.
all of these things,
Returning to
I guess
Super
we can't
Nintendo.
do it.
How was Separation Anxiety?
It's both of them were fine. It's old Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo games. They are what they are.
I guess so.
But anybody who actually thought that they should boycott Sony just because of this thing with the movies, it's like you're being an idiot.
Yeah.
This is where the fanboy term comes into play because you're being an idiotic fanboy.
Yeah.
You
Not
are
even a
supposed to
good
be like
fanboy.
you claim to be a fan, right? These people claim to be fans. And yet they can't tell the difference between Sony Pictures and Sony the video game company.
Yeah.
Not to mention that Sony didn't make Spider-Man the game.
No.
It was Insomniac.
Yeah.
Sony may have bought Insomniac now,
Afterwards too.
but Insomniac is still the one making the game.
Yeah.
Sony is not the one making the game.
Yeah.
Why are we suddenly wanting to put other people out of work because of a whole different part of a company that has nothing to do with the other?
Makes no sense.
People are stupid.
And
Yeah.
that shows me again that we are not allowed to have nice things.
No. Us nerds.
Well, like our buddy Shane, he's a huge Star Wars fan, and he even says that Star Wars fans are idiots because essentially they're fans of two movies.
Well, remember, we are talking fans as a fanatic. So
Yes. Yeah. Every
fanatics
type
are
of thing
generally
has that.
speaking completely illogical.
Yeah. Marvel has it. Star Wars has it. Sports has it. Think of the amount of people
Yeah, I
that
mean,
goes
w-
ape shit, and then
I mean, we're all here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, where we see Leafs fans every year when they were shit saying, "No, we're clearly going to win the cup this year." And anybody with a set of functioning eyes
Point and
can
laugh.
look at what's on the ice and be like, "No."
Actually, the funniest is when I said, I don't think Canada's ever gonna have a bigger championship parade than they had for the Raptors. I was like, oh, wait till the Leafs win. People from Montreal aren't coming here, or BC, or like any other city across Canada. People are not coming here for the Leafs.
I mean,
people
Yeah.
came here for the Raptors. They would come here for the Blue Jays, but for the Leafs, no. You have Toronto and maybe some fans from out of town, but you won't have someone being a special trip for this.
I mean, sports arguments aside, because we're trying to talk.
Oh, yeah,
about
we're
the
so
MCU
off
here.
topic.
Sorry.
Fans just kind of need to relax. I understand people's love for things.
yeah.
As a guy who goes to Con Bravo every year, I see people's pure passion, and I also see the negatives of that. I've seen people who, it's like people who say they're a fan of cosplayers, but you listen to them and you're like, no, you're not a fan. You wish this girl would like strip for you in your bedroom. Like,
Yeah.
you get the people that take their fanaticism a little too far.
Yeah.
And I think when people looked at what happened with the Spider-Man news, I don't think they looked at the story. They just saw Spider-Man is leaving because of Sony,
Yeah, and they lashed out.
and they lashed.
Yeah.
And as someone who took the time and understands that not everything is what it seems, all you had to do is look at the article for about 10 seconds, and you could have read that there was blood on both hands.
Oh yeah. It's two
Disney and
companies.
Sony
They're
are
both,
both-
being greedy. They
Yeah.
both want their money. Yeah, it's not one, and probably was Disney more than Sony even.
Even so, it doesn't even matter really in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
It's like I said, both Sony and Disney need to get off their fucking asses,
Yeah.
And work
put
this
their
out.
egos aside,
Yeah.
and understand that no matter what cut they get,
They still
you're
make
making
money.
more than hundreds of millions.
More than I got. They got a lot more than I got.
And at the end of the day, you claim, like, this is the thing too, it's the PR slam. We do this for the fans. Fucking prove it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, we're
Not
at
doing it for the
53
fans.
minutes. So, we're going to end this as we usually do, where we talk about our favorite things of any aspect. And since we did talk about Joker, you brought up, Vish, the idea of talking about, specifically, you were going to go with villains who could get a solo movie. I want to encompass this a little bit broader. I mean, we can obviously still talk about who would work for a movie.
Yep.
But just in general, our favorite villains. So, I think we'll try to do 2 or 3 each,
Yep.
based on how much time we have. So, aside from Joker, because that's the easy one.
Yeah.
And we already kind of talked about him a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Vish, I'll let you start with your first. And this isn't in any particular order. Just give me like any one that comes to mind right
I'm
away.
actually gonna choose some. So for me, my top two is Joker and Lex Luthor. But I'm not gonna talk about them. I'm actually gonna talk about a few ones that you may not know about. So first of all, I'm gonna talk about Doctor Doom. So with Doctor Doom, he's actually not a bad guy. He is one of those guys. He's evil, but he's doing it with good intentions. So he feels like he's a good guy, but he's actually not a good guy. So he's just an evil dude. And that was the one thing when I heard that Marvel bought Fox, I was like, yes, that means the Fantastic Four are coming to the MCU, and that means Doctor Doom is coming to the MCU, and Doctor Doom is pretty much a ringleader in the villain world in the Marvel universe.
He is the one that if you were working towards him in, like, say, an Avengers finale, like, that's a villain to work towards, because that's someone you can throw over. I don't know if they'll do it in this phase. I feel like they're going to introduce Fantastic Four much later.
Well,
that would be a great thing, though, if, like, say, after, like, because we thought that maybe they were going for Galactus this time around.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to have either, like, starting it, like, leading into it in phase, like, say, 6, and you lead slowly into 7, 8, and 9, or however long they want to go with that one, as Doctor Doom being a consistent villain for the entirety.
I think he's going to be like a figurehead in the background. Like he's pretty much like controlling everything.
And someone who keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Kind of like what a Spider-Man villain always
Yeah.
does, too.
I'm more excited for Doctor Doom coming to the MCU than the Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, well
Yeah.
the Fantastic Four and
Like, I mean,
Doctor
they go
Doom
hand
have
in
been
hand.
done so
Yeah.
poorly, but Doctor Doom isn't like he's a Fantastic Four origin character, but he's like a villain with everyone. He's been a villain with Black Panther. He's been a villain with Iron Man. He's been a villain with Spider-Man, I believe.
You can throw him anywhere.
You can throw him anywhere, and he could wreak havoc upon anybody who he's with. Another villain I feel is unappreciated is Magneto. Is because he is the ultimate villain that is doing what he's doing for the right reasons. He is looking out for mutant rights, and he is doing what he can, and he's protecting the mutants. And he's doing it for the right reasons. But he's also a mass murderer. He has no... He will, like, stab somebody, like, in front of their child, and won't blink an eye if it'll help him with his cause. And another villain who was done recently very terribly and should be done again properly is Apocalypse.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
agree with that.
So
Yeah, he needs
That
to be
movie,
done.
as much as I was really excited for it, they made the mistake of basically not having him do anything. Like, he's a guy that should have been
Yeah.
in multiple movies.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did
he-
nothing.
yeah.
you
he's-
can't do Apocalypse in 2 hours. He's too powerful.
There was a show back in the early 2000s, X-Men Evolution, and they actually did it nicely where they built up Apocalypse over a few seasons. Like, they were teasing his presence, teasing his coming, and then he finally came, and it's like, yo, we gotta watch out for this guy. He is going to destroy us. And Apocalypse is another guy. He is what brings people together the most is a common enemy. You will have every single villain of the X-Men working with the X-Men to take down Apocalypse. So these are things that I feel need to come in and they need to be done properly. Magneto has been done well a few times, but not as well as it should have. Chris, on to you.
I would absolutely go with, if I'm going to name 3 of my 3 favorites, I would say Doctor Doom, Magneto, and Venom. I know Venom's kind of like an anti-hero sometimes. Like, he's not always the villain.
But in terms of what Venom can bring to the table, it's
Yeah.
like that Venom story always brings Spider-Man really into the forefront and kind of gets
Yeah.
him to really unlock the potential that he
Oh, yeah.
has.
Oh yeah, because Venom is like he's like when he's like Juggernaut, unstoppable when he is like in full rage mode.
Yeah. And I just love the way that, like, the symbiote suit and Eddie Brock, like, they talk to each other. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
It's actually, like, 2 villains in a way. Like,
Yeah.
2 people working together with a common cause. And I just love the dynamic that Venom has always had. Like, he's the darker image of Spider-Man. Like, they're close, very similar powers, similar... even if you just take... Like, they were both photographers. Like, they both had similar everything where they really were their mirror images of each other. I've always loved that dynamic. I've always thought that's amazing. And to touch on your point about Magneto is probably one of the most perfect villains because he's not like necessarily even a villain. Like, he's fighting for mutant
like all the
rights.
people that he's fighting against,
Yeah.
which is kind of
There's
ironic.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know the X-Men are actually based off the civil rights movement.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's-
Oh, yeah.
Magneto is Malcolm X, where Xavier is Martin Luther
That was
King.
so frustrating too when Stanley passed and people were talking about, oh, good, because he was such a racist bigot. It's like the motherfucker was one of the first people to ever write about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always loved the Magneto and Charles Xavier dynamic too. Like, they will have, like, Professor X will have the X-Men stop Magneto from blowing up whatever he's going to do or, do something for his mutant rights. But in the end, they're sitting in jail together Professor X is visiting him and they're playing chess. Like it's almost like I know you're fighting for something good. You're just going about it wrong. And they just think that they're both going about it wrong. They're fighting for the same thing. The good guys and the bad guys want the same outcome. They're just going about it differently. And I've always loved
different extremes.
that dynamic because you can relate so much. Anybody could be a Magneto and push themselves over
in
the edge.
X-Men
like that.
3, like when Pyro said, I would have killed the professor myself, Magneto shut him up and be like, you don't know what that man has done for us.
Yeah, like there's a respect there, and they don't want each other to come to any kind of harm. They just want each other to see their view.
They want to pull each other to their own.
Yeah, like no, we should do it this way. No, we should do it this way.
It really is almost like a political struggle. It's like, look, I believe that we're both trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But I think your version of the right thing is not in our best interest.
I think you should be mass murdering people like me.
Yeah.
Well, for him, it's like, look, he understands. Like it's like if somebody came up and like early before even like slavery was ended. It's like if somebody said we need to rise up. And we can't let, the slave owners live because if we let them free, they will just continue to do what they do. It's similar to that with the mutants where they say, look, like Magneto's just like, look, we understand that you want to live peacefully with them, but we've seen what they do. They will never forgive us. They will never coexist with us.
Yeah.
And in some ways, he's right. I mean, in the same vein of the race thing, like there is never going to be peace with every single person of every single color. There's always going to be somebody who hates somebody just for the way that they look. Yep. And it's the same with mutants and humans. There's always going to be humans that want mutants dead.
Yeah.
And it's how it is. So in Magneto's eyes, it's like, you have to kill them because it's either them or us.
Yeah.
And which is understandable. It's a violent solution to the problem,
Actually,
but you get why he is where he is.
I forgot to mention, I also watched Dark Phoenix. It's just not good. Besides this one train battle, besides this one train battle, which was actually entertaining, it's just not good. And it was the same thing. It was just the whole, they were trying to live in peace, but some people still don't trust the mutants.
Yeah.
And there was one part where they're like, we are going to start arresting mutants who we think are dangerous.
Yeah. I think Magneto...
Which can be anybody at that point, right? Because that's how it works.
I think Magneto, it's especially, like, he feels all of this stuff even more so than other mutants because he's not just a mutant. Remember, he started as a young boy, a Jewish boy, in like occupied Poland or something during World War II. So he already had.
So he's already seen like the worst
race card played on.
Yeah, he's already seen the worst of humans,
Yeah.
and then now when he became a mutant,
now it's like twofold.
it was just doubled.
Yeah, like he's already seen how bad it can go, which we also did see in Days of Futures Past.
Oh yeah,
how bad it can go.
Because it is what it is. Like it is a representation of what we are as a human species. Like we understand that the worst of us could potentially kill us all.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that we've kind of have to. It's that necessarily evil we need to show.
This is another part that was put into The Boys as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So with me, I'm gonna go a little bit off the board, not too far off the board, but I mean right off the bat, Harley Quinn.
Yep. Yep.
Just because I don't think there's a more iconic voice to me. Like, and I know that Mark Hamill's Joker's one, but
Mr. J.
I said a good iconic voice.
I thought it was Margot Robbie for a split second there. I could have sworn it was her.
Well, there's going to be a new show with Penny from Big Bang being Harley Quinn. It actually looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where that goes. But I mean, in the sense of Harley is like, I find with a lot of the villains that I like, they're not the core villain, because I like a villain that supports, because they also have more of the fun, whereas a lot of the higher villains, they're more just dastardly, they're more just violent, or they're more just like heavy story.
They're more ringleaders.
Whereas people like Harley and another name I'll bring up after, they're people that kind of, they're more complement and they add and they kind of leave a more of a lasting impact that way on me. Whereas anybody can say they like Joker because that's easy.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn also adds it though because of the sense of like, she's such a multifaceted villain where she's very likable, but she's also very violent and dastardly as well. She also has that side of her that you are sympathetic to because she was brainwashed. She was a mental doctor trying to help people.
Yeah.
And I mean, the added effect too, like she also has that like iconic, sort of sex appeal that also adds on to it too. So you get that all-encompassing thing as, a lot of villains don't necessarily have, because a lot of female villains especially too, a lot of them try to focus on the sex aspect of it in the early days and didn't really didn't put a lot of substance on top of it.
Yeah.
Like Poison Ivy, for example.
The old Batman show Catwoman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, where it's all just puns.
Yeah.
But like Harley is one of those ones where it's not like, obviously a lot of people like to cosplay her and take the sex aspect of it in full swing, but people also don't just remember her for that.
Yeah.
You remember the voice, you remember the hammer, you remember the costumes, you remember the sheer like insanity that she brings to the table as well.
Yeah.
Whereas like some other side, like smaller female villains, like you'll think, oh, she had a nice butt in the comic.
Yeah.
Well, that was the one thing.
Black Cat.
That was another thing. Actually
Shut up! I love Black Cat. I know you said that on purpose because I've said it.
That was one thing that bothered me about Suicide Squad as well. Like, they were making Joker and Harley's relationship a romantic one, and you see all these memes going like, relationship goals. I'm like, no, this is not how they are at all. Like, Joker is, like, full out abusive.
I think in that movie, the more I think about it, that it was not even necessary. I wonder if, like, because we never really see Joker that much in the movie, that Harley's, like, hallucinating and it's what she believes Joker is.
Yeah. Could be.
Or, like, even then, like, Joker's only saying what he does to just insinuate, just to keep her, like, under his arm. It's just to keep her...
Because there was one episode where, like, in the old Batman cartoon, where... No, it was a Suicide Squad movie that... It was an animated one. The DC animated movies are actually awesome. So, it was one that was based off the Arkham game series, and Deadshot slept with Harley, and Joker's pissed off. He's like, I don't like people playing with my stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's like he doesn't.
Well, wasn't there
give a
even
shit
like
about her, he's
episodes
just
in
like-
the animated series where Harley was like trying to hit on him constantly, and he just wasn't having any of it?
Yeah.
So it's just, it is what it is. It's just Joker. It's another tool for her.
She left him one episode
Yeah.
to go to Poison Ivy. Like, where's Harley? Like, you kicked her out. Like, yeah, but she always comes back. And it's like, wow, that's like abusive behavior 101 right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, it disturbingly abusive.
And like I said,
Mark
that's that.
Hamill.
There's a sympathy part of it too, right?
Yeah.
So the second one I'm bringing up, it's because I like crazy shit. Carnage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love Carnage.
The cartoons, like the original Spider-Man cartoon with Carnage, was so good.
Yeah.
He was so disturbing.
Yeah.
Especially for like a Fox children's animated show.
Yeah. You
Oh,
think Venom's
yeah.
bad, and then all of a sudden, bam! Here's Carnage.
Well, yeah,
It's
like
like, whoa,
even at the
chaotic.
beginning of like Maximum Carnage, like I'm so used to just seeing, oh, he's just doing dastardly things. He fucking murders several people in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
You're just like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Carnage is amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's like,
I'm afraid though. It's like I know that they're planning on finally bringing Carnage into movies, and it's one of those things. That I'm like, I don't know if you can do them without it being R-rated.
Oh,
that's-
it would
that's
have
my
to be
fear.
R-rated. Yeah. If they
It's
don't
like-
do it R-rated, then it's not.
well, that's what I was saying. That was
Not the point.
Venom disappointed me because it wasn't R-rated. And they easily
Well, that
could've
was
done
because
that.
we were also still in this era where we hadn't quite hit it yet, where we weren't totally accepting of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm assuming
Joker
Joker.
may fix that.
I'm assuming Joker's R-rated.
Well, Deadpool kind of
Yeah,
already. Deadpool has twice. Logan also really solved it.
Logan.
So I think
was-
now we've seen
yeah.
that R-rated movies can work with the right material.
Yeah.
But I think...
The MCU movies will never go in that direction because they want to be for everybody.
Yeah.
But to have like, if they were to have like side movies that had nothing to do with anything,
Yeah.
like say a Carnage movie,
Yeah.
you could make it work.
Yeah. Make it connected to the Venom.
Well, I
movie.
think again, Joker, I think is really going to solve that issue because with Joker, like they're actually looking at Oscar for Joaquin Phoenix for this, and
You won't get it.
You never. Heath Ledger got it.
Heath Ledger only got it because he passed away.
No, man,
I'm willing to go on a limb and say that it was because he passed.
Nah,
I don't think-
I did not even know he got it.
You don't watch award
here's the thing.
shows.
Look,
Yeah.
and I'm not even trying to say this as being an asshole about it. It's because we know
Critics
what
are bastards.
we know what Hollywood cares about the casual fans and all the fun movies.
Oh yeah. They're not
They
even,
don't give a shit.
Yeah. They're not even listed.
They tried to make a category for us as like the best. What was it? The best like entertain like what were they tried to
Yeah,
do
it
it for
was
1
a-
year
it was a really
and people
stupid-
shit on it because they're like you're insulting us even further because now here's your little spot to play in.
Yeah.
But to me, like Heath Ledger's role is an Oscar-worthy role. However, I'm not willing to believe that they would have given it to him if he hadn't passed. I'm not willing
I
to
don't
believe.
know.
I believe that they
He
like,
deserved it, but would they have
Yeah.
actually given it to him?
Well,
I don't think they
the
would,
next
because
in line was
they-
going to be Josh Brolin's character from Milk, the movie about Harvey Milk,
Hmm.
which by all means if
But-
he had won it, he deserved it. But
But as we've learned, especially back in those days, even more, critics could have given less of a shit of
Oh, yeah.
anything blockbuster movie.
oh, I know.
Yeah.
So they usually will nominate them just to make it feel like we belong.
I think it was called the
Yeah.
Popular Film Award.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it
But
was.
I guarantee you, man, like if he's still alive and well, they give it to anybody else because they don't want to say that the stuff that they put their money towards is worthy of it, isn't the same level of a blockbuster because they look at it as commoners.
Yeah.
That's what we are to them.
Yeah.
But anyways, because we got off to a really depressing bit.
Yeah, a little depressing.
My last one is just completely off the board because it's just a small time, and Maximum Carnage also has to do with this one. I really love Shriek back in the day.
I don't know about a lot of the other symbiotes like Shriek, Lasher. And...
Shriek isn't a symbiote.
Is it?
No, she's just her own little thing.
Huh.
I don't even know if I know who Shriek is.
Shriek was the one, like, if you remember Maximum Carnage at all, she's one of the first villains you encounter, and it's her and Doppelganger, like the crazy, like, four-legged Spider-Man.
Yeah.
She's the one that just screams at you and knocks you out.
Okay.
So she's Sindel from Mortal Kombat.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
she's
like,
not a symbiote.
No. As far as I know,
Oh.
she's not.
I think she's.
She even might be,
check
but
it out.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was one of those ones that just even like, and I could go with any other villain. I wanted to put her in there as being one that, like, even as a kid, I thought was so cool because I love the look of her.
Yeah.
Because she had, like, again, like, this is right as, like, I was just about to become a teenager, so, like, that little, like, gothy sort of face to it that looks so cool in comparison to just the usual happy-go-lucky, over-the-top, colorful shit.
Is it this chick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, she's not a symbiote.
Yeah.
She's basically dressed like Black Cat, though.
Yeah, well, she's more like a goth version, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But, like, her entire thing was that, you know, she was, like you said, Sindel.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool thing for me to see something different like that instead of it just being the same, like, just guy who just beats you into an oblivion.
Yeah.
In the same vein that, like, I really got into Cloak and Dagger through that game as well.
Cloak and Dagger.
And then I found out what the TV series is like, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound interesting at all.
No.
But yeah, like I said, I like a lot of the small stuff because it's so easy to get attached to the big ones. Like, obviously, I would put Joker on the list, but like I said, it's too easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you have to go. Like,
If your
unorthodox.
number one comic book villain isn't Joker, then you either don't look at DC or you're doing it because you think it's cool to be the one that doesn't.
Yeah. Absolutely. I like that you chose a lot of Spider-Man villains because Spider-Man has some of the best villains.
Well, we were talking about it before we
Anyway.
started the show that, like, Batman and Spider-Man is where a lot of the core villains that anybody knows comes from.
Yeah.
and they arguably have the best rogues.
Like, I
gallery.
mean, can you name me any major Iron Man villains?
Mandarin. That's the only
besides
one I know.
Mandarin and Justin Hammer, really. Like Iron
Yeah,
Man
I
doesn't
get it.
really have villains.
But
But I
I only
mean-
know him because of the movie. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have known
that's the
him.
thing too, right?
I knew Mandarin from the comics, but I didn't know.
Same
I
with
can't
Cap.
remember anyone.
Cap, it's
Oh,
Winter
Red-
Soldier and Red Skull.
Yeah.
No,
That's it. That's the only two that I can come up with.
That's the only two I know.
X-Men is the same deal. X-Men is easy because
No,
there's a
X-Men-
billion.
There's
Yeah,
a billion.
X-Men-
Like,
But-
that's a wash.
Yeah, and they're always changing
But like
sides.
Thor, it's Loki basically.
yeah.
Thor and Loki.
Like most Marvel characters, like, you know a couple, like the key ones,
Except for
and that's
Spider-Man,
it.
you know
It's
all.
Spider-Man, you can list a shit ton, and I know the TV shows have an advantage, and because it was the popular thing, you saw.
That's probably
it a
why
lot
I could
as a
also
kid.
name a bunch of X-Men ones.
And the
too.
same with Batman.
Same thing, yeah, animated series.
But I think at the same time too, I think it's also because there's so many of them that are very memorable because they had that variety. Whereas a lot of villains in a lot of other comics are literally just, here's a guy with a new power that trumps this person.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of villains in Spider-Man and Batman, they have their own quirk.
Yep.
Batman doesn't have a weakness. Spider-Man doesn't really have a weakness. He's just human.
Yeah.
Well,
He's like, Spider-Man is a superpowered human. Batman is just a human with a lot of fucking shit that he can use to his advantage.
Guy's got a lot of money.
So you don't need a
Spider-Man,
kryptonite. You don't need a guy that just has, oh, this guy's power level is 10,000 instead of the last guy was 8,000.
Yeah.
Notice how I went from not over 9,000 to over 9,000. But
It's over now.
Spider-Man villains, everything is varied. Like, here's the power guy. Here's the guy who can fly really fast. Here's the guy with the tech. Here's the guy that does really cool mind shit. Here's the guy with magic. Here's the guy that's literally just another human being but has, you know, the wherewithal to understand these things.
and then there's
Yeah.
also Kingpin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no power except money.
Yeah,
and
but-
influence over a city.
Oh, and he's like, he is like, I think, like Spider-Man has enhanced strength, but I think Kingpin is actually stronger than Spider-Man himself.
Well, because
They-
Kingpin
they
is
showed
built like a
versions
fucking
of-
ox.
Yeah,
Like, he's meant to be like just sheer. Like, he's almost like he's almost like
boulder.
is it the Thing from Fantastic Four? Because I'm
Thing? Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Because I'm sitting there being like, I know that's a John Carpenter movie, but
He's
Not that
Rockman from Mega Man.
Rockman.
oh god. But I don't know. Has anybody else got anything else to add here? Because I'm pretty much done
No,
here.
I'm
No,
pretty
I
much
just
done
want to
with
watch
it.
some fucking Spider-Man cartoons.
Yeah,
now.
I know.
I just want to watch some.
I can't wait for Disney Plus to come to watch Spider-Man cartoons now.
Yeah, they're gonna have it on there. They better have it. On there.
they have the most recent one that was finished.
No, I want the 90s one.
Yeah, I know.
I want to get to the Carnage part of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon and watch that right
Yeah.
now.
I also want to go back and play Maximum Carnage now.
Yeah, me too. Fuck, is that available anywhere?
Emulators?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go online. I have no fucking internet at home.
Oh shit.
Where's my modem?
That sounds like a you problem.
It is a me problem.
When's the new modem coming?
Sometime this week.
So you're off the grid for a few days.
Thank God for the Nintendo Switch.
This is how we know how reliant we are on technology.
Oh yeah, I can't even watch movies because it's like Netflix and everything now.
Yeah.
I can't fucking do anything. I keep playing
here's
games
the
on the
thing.
Switch because
I've
I've got the games
Can you
installed.
not
and
run Steam without internet?
Oh, I've got some downloaded games.
Oh, okay.
But if I wanted to change
It's
which
also
game
the
I'm
thing
playing,
too. It's like
I can't.
we would love to like still own a lot of DVDs and stuff, but why would you ever pay $20 for one movie when you could pay $8 a month and get all of it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, for when your internet goes out.
Like I have friends of mine that have like a shit ton of DVDs, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
If you bring your
Why?
iPad, you can download a few on Netflix.
No,
and
I've
Prime.
got the Switch in the backpack.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you should just download The Boys.
Yeah.
Trust me, everyone. Seriously, it's just really really good.
Yeah, I do plan on watching it. I gotta watch that show.
All right. So with that being said, Vish, give us your handles that you need people to know as per usual.
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at viewsvishals, and also check out my website www.vishalsviews.com.
Chris.
You can find me on Twitter at Jin_N, just the letter N, _Chris, another underscore because the other one was taken. And you can also find me on Twitch where I occasionally stream at Jin_N_Chris. No extra.
I keep
underscore
wanting
needed.
to, and then every time I think about it, I'm just like, man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't have a webcam set up right now, so whenever I do go live, it's just you can hear me.
I'm also
over the
not convinced
headset.
too that like I can do it consistently, which is the other part that's keeping me from doing it.
Oh, I'm not consistent at all. Yeah, if I had a follower, they were confused.
This is also the problem of me doing now essentially 4 podcasts almost every week.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard to find any more time
Yeah, you
because
don't
I'm
have
already
time.
like, fuck. I didn't even do a Radical Rant podcast this last week
Well,
just because I was sick and just couldn't find
Also,
time.
just trying to find topics to talk about.
Not necessarily topics. It's more along the lines of it's hard when you have so many things you want to talk about and then you try to figure out how to do it. And also with the way that the podcast I have set up, I wanted to initially be for news, and it might end up just being something that over time just grasps into whatever the hell I feel like talking about that day. Because there are some weeks with the podcast, specifically the gaming one, because gaming news, there can be such dead weeks where there's nothing. Like, just nothing happens.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
in a dead month.
No, that's not necessarily true. I mean, there's always something. Like, obviously, this week, the NBA thing is a big thing that I could spend 20 minutes on, because I can talk about stupid microtransactions just forever.
Why don't
Yeah.
buy sports games?
But there are some weeks where, like, I'll look at Reddit and just even look at the game subreddit and go for the entire week of top topics, and it's all just trailers. And it's like, I can't just talk about trailers.
Yeah.
Because it's just talking about maybes. It's not that fun.
Yeah.
Well, even then, trailers are misleading now. Look at Infinity Wars. Hulk was in every single trailer, and Hulk wasn't in the movie, really.
Yeah. Well, it's even in games in general, they like to show you stuff that will get you to buy it, but then they change the game completely differently to what it is.
The first one I saw do that was Metal Gear Solid 2, where they showed all the scenes with Snake, but then it was actually Raiden the entire game.
That
Well-
fucking game.
Yeah, but
What
it's
the
Kojima.
fuck?
You can't expect anything to be what it is with Kojima.
If that-
Also,
I'm
that's-
still convinced that Death Stranding is going to turn into be a fucking cooking game somehow.
Cooking the baby? What are you cooking?
Cooking with Norman Reedus.
I've been to his restaurant, so I would totally be down for
that
that.
could be a possibility then.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
In Nala.
I don't even have to give my stuff because it's always there, but you obviously can follow me at CSRadical on Twitter. CSRadical.com is where I post everything, but I mean, if you're already here on the channel, you're already getting it all,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a moot point at this point.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
I know in the future what I want to do. Like, actually, you know what? Here's a cool thing. Let's talk about the things that we are on our bucket list that we wish we could do. I recently was at my friend's house yesterday, and they were watching 42, the Jackie Robinson movie.
Yeah.
I want to go back and watch The Rookie with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. Same with Moneyball. I never actually saw Moneyball.
I saw Moneyball.
I thought,
It was a good movie.
I heard The Rookie's a really good movie.
The Rookie was fantastic when I watched it as a kid because, I mean, it's about Jack Morris, who used to be at Blue Jay when they won the World Series as
Yeah.
well. So, like, there is
Was
that
he?
added value.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Morris, the whole story about him is that he was a guy who retired early because I think of injury, if I'm not mistaken. And he was coaching, I think, either a high school or a college team, and he could still pitch really well. And the players kept trying to bug him to go try out, just to say that he did it. And they had to win a championship in order to get him to do it. And he did it, and he made the MLB and became what he did.
And
So he came in late into his, I think it was like his 30s that he came in.
Yeah, it was in his
Wow.
30s.
He's like the Diamond Dallas Page of baseball.
So your bucket list is you want to try for the Blue Jays.
No. Few years ago, I probably could have made the Blue Jays. Not this time. I certainly cannot keep up with Bo Bichette. That motherfucker has hair for days. I can't keep up with
Why
that.
doesn't he just rename himself to Boba Fett? Why?
Oh my god, that's so
It's
perfect.
so close.
Wait
they
a-
just had Star
shit,
Wars
They
Day.
just had Star Wars Day and they didn't
Yeah,
capitalize on
like,
that?
Dude,
Ooh.
no, they did on Instagram. I think they put Bo is they photoshopped
I hope
it.
they did, because if they did, that's such a missed
Yeah,
opportunity.
That's genius.
Also, what do you know his Instagram tag is Bo Knows, like Bo Jackson.
Oh,
Although they did copyright infringe, because WWE has a character called Bo Dallas, and his line is, don't forget to believe, and they do that with Bo Bichette. It's like, can you believe in him? I'm like, that's taken. You can't do that.
Yes.
Boba.
That's awesome.
oh yeah, they did.
Boba
That's cool.
Fett.
Boba Fett.
That's awesome.
It's on the Blue Jays Instagram if anyone wants to check it out.
Otherwise, like, I think game-wise, I'm just waiting to see what comes.
Yeah.
It's one of those times now, because we know the PS5 is probably getting announced sometime in the next 12 months,
Yeah.
that everything's kind of just being held back a little bit just to see where everything's
I was
at.
talking with somebody, I forget who, that they feel that The Last of Us 2 is going to be PS4's swan song.
I think it will be...
Pretty close.
If it doesn't come out, I think it's going to come out the same time the PS5 launches, because I think they want to do both.
Yeah, I
That's
could
my
see that
theory.
being in both.
That's why I'm not jumping the gun to buy the PS5 right away, because
I-
when I bought my PS4, until Mortal Kombat came out, everything else was available on PS3, and there was no point in buying it.
Now, before we get too deep into this, because we are almost an hour and a half in, I just want to say on that topic, I will buy a PS5 if it's backwards compatible, but after a year when the first model comes out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the reason that I would never jump from PS3 to PS4 right away is because there is no backwards.
Yeah.
Now that it could potentially be backwards to play all my games, I'm okay with literally taking my PS4, giving it to like a friend of mine, because I wouldn't want to trade it in to pre-order a PS5, because then I have no system.
Yeah, then you got...
So I can give my PS4 to somebody who needs it, and then I can get the PS5 and still play all my games.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. If it's digital too, I'm even more happy, because
Well,
then I don't have to think about it.
Well, that was
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
one huge problem that with the PS4 and the PS3 is like the downloaded games were not backwards compatible.
That's
it
what
wasn't.
made
It
me
wasn't that
switch
with
to
any of the
PC.
consoles.
Yeah,
like
that's what made me
it's
switch.
consoles in general. Like this might be the first time since the PS2
Yeah.
that we have backwards compatible consoles again.
Yeah, because PS3
I know
started with it.
Xbox One technically does it now, but they had to roll it out later.
I think Wii U is also backwards compatible. No, Wii was with GameCube.
GameCube, yeah. Wii
Yeah.
U played Wii games.
But I mean, again, like I also look at Nintendo as an outlier, because
Yeah.
the amount of games they have is so small.
Yeah.
Like having a PS3 and being able to play the PS2 library would be such a big change compared to like Wii and Wii U. Like
Yeah.
you can play Wii games on Wii U, but realistically, like you're putting in 5 games? Because I learned from the Wii and the Wii U that they have a lot of fun games. It's just there are like 10 of them, and all are Nintendo made,
Yeah.
except for like No More
Yeah.
Heroes and the odd thing.
Yeah. Yeah, PS3, that backwards compatibility. I had the first generation, and I had both PS2 and PS1 backwards compatibility. And I had still all those games.
Yeah.
Like the original Final Fantasies and all that kind of stuff. So that was amazing. And then
And
PS4 all of a sudden was like, all of that's gone now.
Like it was Sony's strategy, is they figured, well, if we don't, or Sony and Microsoft, I guess for that matter, is that if we don't make them backwards compatible, we can sell you the same thing twice.
Exactly.
That was their idea.
That's what's upset me. Oh, for sure.
And like, I'm not opposed to the idea of waiting, because I mean, look, it's expensive buy-in. Like even
Yeah.
though it's not as expensive as going for PCs, it's still $500.
Yeah.
If not,
it's not cheap.
it's not something that you just automatically do. And in the case of a console, it's like, look, if I can get away with a year or two of, just playing the games at a slightly lesser quality. I mean, look, with PS4, like the quality that we get now, if this
It's
was
so
how it
amazing.
stopped,
Yeah.
if this was where it ended, if this was as good as it got, we're good.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Games don't need to get better.
They
They, just
will-
need
they
to
will still
get
get
more
better.
stable.
They will still get better,
Yeah.
and it will still be nice. But if we stop now, it wouldn't be that big a deal.
Well, the one with Injustice 2, I found that's where graphics should stop advancing, because it was incredible, but it was still gaming graphics. Like at a certain point, it still needs to look like a game. If we want it to look real life, film people in real life.
I think we can still do better. It's just going to be, the increments are going to be so much less noticeable over time that it's going to have more to do with how fast it runs and how stable it is.
I'd rather we just get to like 4K 60 frames a second and just make it so that these games are stable like that. Keep the graphics as they are now. They don't need to improve yet.
Work on the
that other
game.
stuff. Work on the game.
Yeah.
Make good stories. Make good multiplayer experiences.
And obviously, when we come to, I mean, we'll probably end up talking about this in a whole other show too. But like the one thing that I think the future of gaming is really going to hold is going to be what VR and AR do.
Yeah.
Because we're getting to a point now that you can't make console games too much better without it being uncanny. So now we start making games that can be universal for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I said too, the one hidden thing, and this is how we're going to end this, because I'm sure a lot of the people out here are nerds just like us. And what is the classic thing that we think about nerds? It's like these fat guys with glasses and living in the basement, right?
Playing World of Warcraft.
What is VR going to do that so many video games would never be able to do before? Get people moving.
Teach them how to play VR while sitting in their chairs in the basement.
The correct answer is teach them how to kill people. But honestly, man, if we have VR in the way that it is, and man, I would love to talk about it on a future show, just what we wish gaming would be in the future.
Well,
Maybe we do that next time.
I wasn't able to get a chance to do it, but they had the VR Iron Man game at Fan Expo.
Yeah. But like,
Yeah,
if
it
we
looked
can get VR to a point that you can be mobile, and not be too like, obviously if there's a lot of running involved, you're going to tire yourself out real quick.
Yeah.
But if it's any easy way to get people to be able to be healthy and still enjoy games the way they do, because I would love to enjoy games as much as I do and not have to worry about gaining the weight that I've slowly started to accumulate over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Because obviously setting down a lot is going to do that. If there was a way to have it where I could be running around in my Final Fantasy world, exploring and feeling like I'm there, and still being able to get the exercise in that we normally don't, that is a massive plus.
Absolutely.
But that's 20 years down the road.
Yeah.
By the time that I can't walk.
Yeah. We're going to have to just stick with our Wii balance boards for now, I guess.
Motherfucker, I hate those things. They hurt my feet.
They were very, very tough, like, to stand on. They hurt. They weren't
it
soft.
It was not a pleasant surface at all.
Yeah.
At least, like, the only one that I half enjoyed was the UFC trainer on Kinect. Just because the exercises, like, even if the camera didn't catch what the fuck you were doing, they were still exercises that were pretty good for you.
No, the Kinect was good for the Han Solo dance.
Oh, God.
I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo.
I can't think of any better way to... Actually, that's not true. I can think of a million different ways to end that are much better. But I think because we're almost at an hour 30, I think we're going to stop it here anyway. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Also follow Chris and Vish at their respective stuff, because give them some love too. I know it's all on my channel here, but let's give these guys a little bit of fun too. Somebody give Chris like a random, like the most random, like inconsistent, like money in a donation, just to make him feel like he's making a lot.
Do it.
I see that all the time where you see like the 50,000
cents.
of something, and if the currency means jack shit.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
You can't even convert it. It's like, what am I going to do with this?
We'll make you a Turkish millionaire.
It's like some like completely dilapidated like Bitcoin wannabe that's like worth like half a cent.
Yeah.
But there's a million of them.
I'll give you 100 rupees. That's basically like, I think.
You know what?
Like
you could give him
Legend of
you could
Zelda
give him like
rupees?
the equivalent of 100 rupees if you gave him like in toy form, and he'd be like, "I'm okay with this."
Yeah, I would want the Legend of Zelda version of the rupees.
You would specifically.
But I can just go cut some grass.
You
and
would
find it.
specifically buy a chest to put these rupees, just so that every morning
I
he'd
had
be
the
like,
Every morning. And I would have a light installed inside so that it glowed. Oh, the amount of things I do with that
All of a
fake
sudden,
money.
we're getting good ideas.
I'm
Yeah.
actually gonna check on Amazon right now for rupees.
Oh God. But with that being said, guys, like I said, thanks for watching. Like I said, like and subscribe. Leave comments below, and this has to do with anything. So what you want to talk about when it comes to Joker, Spider-Man, what your favorite villains are, any and all of the above. Don't hesitate to say anything. And last but not least, share this video with anybody who you think is interesting. And with that
Tell
being
your
said,
friends.
guys, wait, friends? Friends? Those exist?
Yes.
Well, I mean, there's the three of us. We're your friends.
I thought we were colleagues. Compadres.
And for the record,
We do
I
not talk outside
did
of
find
work.
rupees on Amazon, and one of them is in a chest that's $284.
And it's probably worth every cent.
For sure.
So, last but not least, because again, I'm always terrible at ending shows. This time it's not my fault, though.
Nope.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you probably next month.
See you next time.